I'm starting season 2 of my podcast after 3 years or something of recording. So the first episode of this new season is on why did I leave midwifery. So the first times I was recording that was pretty tender. It still is. It's still very tender. I left for very good reason. Thank goodness I never wear makeup. I left because the recommendations that we were being told to say did not align with what I thought was safe anymore. That's just getting straight to the point. So, and then we see that in the statistics, like what I'm saying has evidence behind it. And statistics are not statistics, they're not numbers, they are people. They are people that I hold the hands of. They are our sisters. They are our nephews and our nieces. So I can't do this anymore. I initially said that I had moral injury. And, when you look more into what that means, it would mean that I would have found myself at fault of doing something. But, I haven't been perfect. I'm a human, I'm not a robot. And when I did mistakes, I was very upfront about them. I have not caused injury. And I always told myself and told all my clients and my colleagues, like, I am the good luck midwife. I had really good outcomes. What I have is industrial betrayal. A lot of the studies that we see today are actually not studies, they are advertisement. And when you have a industry that profits from the results of a study, they funded the study, they sponsored the study, and or this is becoming really complicated when I look at like where the bias is for studies. There could be a conflict of interest because even though the study isn't funded by the profiting industry, the author can be sponsored by some industry. So it becomes complicated. And sometimes as well, you have to ask who funded this, and then you have to go ask who funds those things that funded that study. It gets really, really messed up. So you have to, as a clinician, you have to be like, this study does not equate to what we see in reality. And then we have to go ask ourselves, and then we have to go and dig deep. And every time I do that, I always find that there is funding from the industries that profit. This is nonstop. Just to give a really easy example, when we look at 4 decades, there was a meta-analysis that came out in 2023, 2024, and it looked at 4 decades of research on the effects of alcohol, because we all hear these studies that say, hey, if we drink 1 glass of wine per day, it increases our blah, 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 blah. Those studies are all funded by the alcohol industry. When you have the other pot of studies that are not funded by the industry, you see results that they increase cancer, cardiovascular disease, et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes to we became a society that really focused on science, and there is a very easy way to manipulate science. So if you go back to my old ones, to my old episodes, I can go deep into detail with that. I was a angry person, still am. I am grieving. I am living in this world too. I see very, very clearly where we could do better, like you. And like when we go, we can blame the system that we work in. Yes, the system is really, really not perfect. There's a system of what we call like liability, litigation. Basically, we are afraid of being told that we did something wrong, and it's a culture that we have uh, created together. We are all co-creators, and it's not necessarily the fear of litigation that is terrible, but it's the fear that we instill in one another. So in Canada, we actually, in the world of litigation, we compare ourselves to the world of the United States. And in the United States, it's actually very, very different than what happens in Canada. However, we still use the fear of what happens in the States to direct where we go into Canada. So in Canada, we have regulatory bodies. So let's say I did do something wrong. My client can call the college, can call the regulatory body and say, I did something wrong. And then an investigation happens that way. In the United States, they don't have that system. So the only way to do something about when something is wrong is to go through liability, is to go through the lawyers and all of that system. Over here in Canada, if we sue a doctor, it's not because we hate our doctor, it's not because we hate our midwife or our nurse. It's actually because we need money. What happens is you can love your midwife, your doctor, your nurse, but there was, your baby was maybe born with a disability. It happens very not frequently, but if you need to have money because of that, then the companies, the benefit companies will say, well, first, before we give you money, you have to sue the people that might have created or impacted this disability. So that's how it works in Canada. It's not a perfect system. I believe that people should be able to get money, absolutely. And I believe that there should be a system in place to make sure that the care that you get is from people who have accreditation and knowledge and keep up their education. And I believe that there should be a good and safe way to have investigations. I do believe that investigations should be done in a fair way. Things can be done a bit differently, in my opinion, but I do believe in these systems that can catch people who need that help. So, so not everything is wrong, but just that I was at the point where there's just too many things that are wrong for me to continue supporting these systems, because for me to work, I have to pay these systems as well. Um, so that's like the really big gist of why I left. The system is has a lot of fear. It's not just the system, it's our culture. The system is also like, it's like bottom line money as well. This is not just the system, it's our culture. We all have impact here. We are all born at this time and living at this time, and we all have a a purpose here. We can all be able to do our little part in changing that around. So I can ask myself, what is it that I do solely for money? Is that in alignment with, the things that um, I can do easily, the things that I love to do, the things that light me up? Um, and so I believe in looking at much deeper than just the surface level stuff of the impact that I have on my client. I want to know the long-term impact on my client. I want to know the impact of supporting the systems that I have to support to be able to work. Do I really support all these things? This is just like basic, like looking deep into our hearts. It's not about shaming ourselves. There's a lot of people who don't want to look at these things, but I will encourage you to look at these things. Whatever your work is, you can go look, like, what is it that I am supporting? What is it that my work is leading to? And how is that impacting the people? Am I working at a place that mass produces these, clothes or makeup that could be done in a safer way that doesn't impact like our hormonal system? We all have a huge role in playing like these things that look like minuscule, but they actually impact us so much and so deeply, like the toxins we put in makeup are affecting the statistics that I'm talking about when it comes to birth, because toxins affect the fetus a lot more than us when we are outside in the world. And so, like, all these things really matter. Like, The person who wants to, like, her goal, and she doesn't think that she's important and she's just one human out of 9 billion, and who wants to, like, learn how to make a better paperclip, like, you like, that in your heart really does matter. How can you make that paperclip better? Like, it all matters. And at the end of the day, I'm creating a course, and it's like so liberating for me to create this course where I actually say, these are the recommendations, this is the evidence was funded by this, and, like, I get to say, like, the truth. And then like, I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm really not. Like, and I love that, because that's what a midwife should be. Like, that's part of why I wanted to become a midwife, was because I wanted to offer choice, and I wanted people to be empowered and have confidence when they would, go into labor, and know all their options and make the best ones for them for the day that they get to meet their baby. How, like, like, if you think about that, it's amazing. And I know it sounds big and extravagant, but it's not. It's an everyday thing. So um this course that I'm doing is just so liberating, because I don't tell anyone what to do. I just say, this is what I know. And it's limited to what I know, but what I know is a lot, when it comes to birth. So I hope that it impacts somebody. That's all it matters. That matters. I like, I'm not even doing this for money. I just need to make money to live. And so I'm really excited. I get to do my impact in my work, to tell the truth. And while doing that, I get to liberate myself. And I forgive myself for having said all of these things to my clients before, that was meant to impact their decisions to go one way. For example, the newborn screening, which I'm actually really for. In essence, I'm really for the newborn screening, but I never told my clients what happens to the blood that is left over from that. That blood that is left over from that is actually kept in storage for years and years, and actually we actually don't know when they they um they destroyed that, baby's blood, that genetic data that we have. And so I just put the information there. And I do say as well, like, I am for that newborn screening, because I have diagnosed some babies with some really rare genetic, um, problems. And because we diagnosed them, it has, like, impacted their lives tremendously. So, uh, so there's a lot of a nuance. There's a lot of me, just like, I just don't make things black and white. I am not providing, the direction like a guideline does. If I was to go through a guideline, I would say, this evidence for this recommendation is really good. This one is not, and here's why. And here's why it's good. That is where I want to go. And you know what? I know that a lot of people think that people are, um, they're overwhelmed by information, but every time I sit down with someone and say, here is the truth, and here's what I have for you, this is the information that we have today, people, their eyes get bigger and bright. So, like, they're not afraid of information. And like, I'm not here to say, like, I'm not here to, prove that I'm smart or anything. Like, if the word sacrum you don't understand it, the word is tailbone, and I can point to it. Like, I'm not here to make things complicated. I'm really here to speak to the person that is receiving the information. I hate going to a bank and asking for information about what my options are, and then they give me GICs and blue, 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 blahs, and I can't understand it. But if you actually tell me what these things are, I don't even need to be told what to do. I know what to do. And that's the what I'm trying to do here, is to explain the information to a layperson, and a layperson is very smart. A layperson, they've proven to me that they're very, very smart. Um, so, so that's, I'm here now. I'm starting off with the course on birth, because It's the easiest and fastest one for me to do to create change and momentum in the world. Um, but the essence of what I want to do is actually create a lot of courses that actually help you navigate the systems that we have in place, um, especially healthcare. I wasn't just a midwife. I had a administrative political role that was no fun, but I did leave quite a legacy at one institution, and I have left marks in like email lists and Facebook groups just by one comment, um, and like I know that I am impactful, and I know that you are impactful. And so let's look at the things that we can do together to just change that around. And that's one thing at a time. It's not a billion things at a time. It's one thing at a time. So when it comes like the thing that I do have to speak of, is like the statistics that we see today are not just impacting the babies that are born and the babies that are still in utero. They are impacting mothers. The rate of maternal death has significantly increased. When I was 18, when I was a baby midwife, student, the mortality rate was in the single digits. I remember it being 6 per 100,000 in Canada. Like, I can't guarantee that because I don't have all these documents. I didn't save all these documents, and I didn't have a phone to screenshot all these documents, but I remember it pretty low. And thankfully, in Ontario, we have the Born database. So this is a database that, for one client, it takes me half an hour minimum to input all that information. There's a lot of money and data that gets inputted. It's really important that we do that, and that is paid by taxpayers' dollars. And uh, the only thing is this information needs to come out and needs to be transparent to us, and that's not happening. The information that I last saw was that the maternal death rate was 18 per 100,000. There's no way, there's no way that maternal death can increase without the other perinatal deaths increasing. That would be neonatal babies that are out and fetal babies that are in increasing because they are together. There's no separation. We live in a world where we see mothers as incubators, and there's no separation, and there's no robotic. Um, there's none of that. There's no incubator. They are people, and they need one another. They need one another also when the baby is out. The the need for the mother and the mother's body and the mother who she is very, very important to that creation of humanity beyond pregnancy. So we need to look at statistics as people. We need to look at the pregnant person as together. We need to look at the mom baby dyad as together. It's like incredible what a woman's body does, to the point where science cannot even grasp 1% of what it does. So yeah, like why I left. That is the big thing. It took me a long time to get there because as I was practicing, I saw little bits. It just grew it. The reasons of things that I was saying and the things that were evidence based were just not evidence based was growing, just going like this, and I, it reached a point where it was too much. Now I will say as well that some other people want to do things differently than me, and that's amazing. There are midwives and doctors who see the things that I see, but they just want to do things differently. They can't use their voice the way that I am because they're still in the system. But what they do is they create pamphlets. When a client says no, they don't put pressure on her. Um, they can sit down and spend a little bit more time about what is real and what is more important. There are different ways of doing things, and all of those ways, all put together, really amount to something. So, whatever your heart desires and whatever you are moved to do, I just ask you that you remove your blinders. And I ask you that you do not provide care from fear anymore. And I urge you, as the person who is the consumer of our care, to not be afraid, and to use the resources that you have. And hopefully that might be my course. I'm not here to tell anyone to take my course, but my course has a tremendous amount of resources that can help you tune into what your heart really wants, but also make that using your brain as well. There's a lot of information in there. And then you get to decide what information you want to dive into and not dive into. I am quite nerdy about this. I'm quite excited about this. But there are tons of ways to follow your heart. And that's what I ask you to do, is to follow your heart, because that will lead you to the outcome that will be the best for you. I also, this is just, I saw a study, and they asked a lot of women to give their input about what they would do differently for their next birth. And 85% said that they would do something differently. And I want to squash that 85% and bring it right down to zero. With the first birth, I want to bring it down to zero. I want people to have made the decisions that were best for them. My course will also be a live document. As I see research change and come out, I will update my studies, the studies that I have added to my resource references and all of that. And all of my references, I actually summarize what it was. So unless if it's a video, then I summarize all of it and make it really, really accessible to you for you to understand. So I left that so that I could use my voice and use my power. My power was not there anymore at the end. Um, so this is just where I can be powerful in my own one human way of doing things. And then the ripples of that I will never know. Like the ripple effect of what Mark Groves has, he will never know. Deborah So will never know. Kirsten Small will never know. Uh, who else? There's so many people. There are so many people who have left their professions to use their voice to educate. And that's what I'm going to be doing.